Oh, we are on, and I got the wrong one here. How about that? Well, that's a technical difficulty right there.
All right, there
We'll
you
try
go.
this one more time. There
All
we
right.
go.
Good morning, Patriots. We're all here, obviously. That's okay. We only hire the best DEI folks, just saying.
Oh boy.
So there you go. So good morning, Patriots. Good to have you all here. We have a great day to talk about a lot of stuff going on. And we are joined this morning by Karen Turk. Karen, are you there? I think Karen's there. There she is.
Good morning,
we're-
Wake Up Patriots. I love it. You know, anytime I'm on, the top of the show is never perfect. So that's been sort of the amusement in the time that I've done this Rumble show. So I think it's amazing that I'm on with you guys and exactly the same thing happens as I'm on with Ed. So it's meant to be.
That should not have happened.
Well,
but anyway, I'm getting 30 lashes for this one.
It's perfect to have you on. So that's always good. And thank you for being here. We're going to have fun. And Karen, do you want to tell the folks where you're at? Is that a secret? Are you like in a did the Secret Service sweep you away and stick you somewhere?
No, you know, the audience knows. I spend a lot of my time in Oklahoma. So I go back and forth between Florida and Oklahoma, and I'm on our little ranch here. And yeah, there's worse places to be stuck. But I was actually a victim of the outage. I'm supposed to be in Florida right now. And here we
we're going to
are.
be talking more about the outage. Yeah, we're going to be talking more about the outage, right, Chris? I hope. Do we have
There's plenty to discuss about the outage. That's definitely true.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, I see people showing up in the chat. It's good. And I promise we'll pay more attention to your questions. I apologize that we've
I'm
not
going to
been.
be in the chat today, Tony.
Yeah,
So no worries. I'm
Let's
jumping
do it.
in right now. So it's going to be a good time.
Wonderful. So, and I know you all are very interactive and we love having you. It's great. It's fun. And we love your comments and we'll try to, especially today, since we have a lot to talk about. Let's just start with what I was tortured. Karen, did you know I was tortured yesterday? I was physically brutalized by this Secret Service person named Cheadle. Did you see that, Chris? Were you brutalized as well? Did she brutalize you?
Not as much
testimony.
Oh, not as much as Kamala Harris did with that speech, but I'll tell you, I actually enjoyed watching this hearing. It was rather entertaining, but it was nice to see both sides agree on something for a change, aside from maybe people on the very far left.
That's true. So
I think that's a good point.
Yeah, well, Karen, that's the thing. So you're a strong woman, but I don't think Cheadle's a strong woman. What do you think?
No, I think she's a wuss, and I think she's sold out to the deep state. I think she's owned by them. I mean, I was looking at her eyes, and I have to tell you, I mean, this is going to sound a little bit creepy, a little far-fetched, but everybody knows me here, and, you know, the Rumble chat will be all over this. Like, I feel like when I look in these people's eyes when they're speaking, sometimes it's almost like they're devoid of any soul. Like, she takes no personal responsibility in this entire thing whatsoever. And it's almost inhumane. Right. It's hard to believe that anybody, and what I'm really surprised at too, and I'm trying to like read in between everything, because that's what I like to do. I like to go down the rabbit hole and read in between the lines. And as I'm watching this, and I'm watching Donald Trump talk about her, about how she came in and she was very nice to him, I'm like, he's playing the game. You know, he's got to play the game with these, you know, figureheads that really have no personal accountability, not in their own lives, but in the lives that they are sworn to serve in the American people that are watching this show. And it's really unbelievable. And Elon Musk, thank God for him too. Thank God that he's taken over X and that he's such a force on social media, because he was one of the first people to tweet out, you know, was before she was guarding, you know, her, the president of the United States, she was guarding a bag of Cheetos. I mean, she worked for big corporate America. She worked for the big corporate beast. So she's willing to sell her soul to the devil.
Well, Karen, look, I hate to challenge you on air, but you know, guarding syrupy liquid and, you know, tasty treats, that's an important job. I mean, you know, being right up there to make sure that Pepsi Cola secret recipe, man, oh man, you know, people at Pepsi put their life on the line every day. And she was their guardian, right, Chris? She was the guardian of the golden recipe. So, you know, it's that's tough work. That's tough. I mean, you know.
I thought she was the guardian of cola and Doritos, or maybe chips or Munchos or whatever.
Tasty syrupy drinks and yellow things. So, and you know, I mean, by the way, did anybody check her fingers to see if she had Cheeto residue on them yesterday at the hearing? I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, I don't think we should be looking at her hands for gunpowder residue is what we should be looking for, Tony.
Yeah,
Quite
maybe,
frankly.
maybe
Okay,
that
that's my take on that one.
maybe that
That's
cat
good.
showed up. Yeah, maybe that cat showed up and told her to put her hands in the Cheeto bag and then swipe maybe one of the Congress members' backs or something like that. Give them the orange all over the white suit.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens.
So, well, let's talk about. So, I want to run through a little bit about Cheadle and what she said yesterday. One of the notable things is that before this all happened, Karen, did you know that her agency, the U.S. Secret Service, in a survey of Office of Personnel Management (OPM), which runs the federal bureaucracy very badly, I might add, but they run it. Her agency came in 413 out of 459 regarding quality of life. And so it's like I guess I can say she sucks. They suck. And somehow the idea that you can go with the government solution to protecting your life, there's something wrong. And I'm just going to say it. I think they weaponized incompetence against President Trump. What do you think, Karen?
I do, and I think I have a suggestion for President Trump, and I'll put it out there on the show today. I think he should hire private security. I think we should we've talked before about dismantling the FBI, and not that there aren't great people that work there, Tony, but we have systems in place. If you're ranking that low on the system and you're sworn to protect the President of the United States or any other public figure or even a regular American, there's absolutely no way that that's acceptable. So there's got to be a major overhaul here.
Here's something funny. When you were watching this, committee, when you're watching the committee hearing, okay, I was kind of amused by her answers. She was really trying to talk each of the Congress members in circles. She was trying to protect her job, and she reminded me of someone who answered the questions the same way during a hearing. Let's say much earlier when it came to the schools and you remember the hearing with Claudine Gay. She sounded a lot like Claudine Gay when she was answering questions, right? Pictured here, by the way.
Wow. That's a throwback. That's a throwback.
There was someone else. No. So one of the members of Congress, I can't remember because honestly, so many of them had really great takes. I can't remember all the names. I'll note one in a second, though, which was notable. They pointed out that everybody who testified as part of the gay hearings, well, Claudine Gay, you know what I mean?
Right.
They weren't gay. Well, I guess she was gay. She was gay, and gay is her name.
Right.
All gay, or aren't we all gay in some way? Just saying. Anyway, back to the topic. Everybody who was at that hearing it's a joke. It's a joke. Don't take this seriously. It's early in the morning.
No, I'm not. I'm just analyzing. I'm just reading the chat, Tony. I'm just trying to figure out what the chat is thinking about this entire conversation. And we're all 80s kids here. So, they're all getting a reference.
Well, Urkel was, I think, the 90s, right?
Yeah. Well,
yeah, probably.
It's like, the other day I had a Def Leppard t-shirt on and I asked Chris what it smelled like. And it smelled like the 80s. The 80s were wonderful. Who doesn't love the 80s were just spectacular. But hold on, both of you stay right there for a second.
Okay.
Here's a good one, by the way.
According to the hearing yesterday, the AR is dangerous. By itself, it'll attack people. Did you know that? Did you know that these things will just kind of randomly strike? So I'm going to have my AR. I'm making a point, by the way. AOC, a Congresswoman AOC, and I'm playing this straight. I am not dogging her here. She asked spectacular questions about this weapon as part of hearings. And Chris, I don't know if you had that or not, but she actually understood that this is the most popular sports weapon in the United States. She called it a sports weapon. She was very respectful. I thought I was watching an episode of The Twilight Zone, for God's sake, because it was like, what? And then she actually talked about this having a range of 400 or 600 meters or yards. I don't know which she used, which is correct. And she said, why didn't the Secret Service in its basic planning make sure that even within the range of this weapon that you couldn't use this weapon against the president? It was like lucid, clear. And she actually put Cheadle back on her butt, I guess is a good way of putting it. But for the remainder of the show, I'm going to put this. You all, if you see this sneaking up on me, say something, okay? Just say in the chat that my AR is moving, So I've got good warning. Otherwise, it's going to be back here. So
we'll keep an eye on that.
It's incredible.
By the way,
keep an eye on it because according to the left, that thing is going to attack.
Well,
we'll see. Just
keep
watching.
It has wheels. That's the thing. Now, here you go, Tony. U.S. air crew said put Sean Parnell in charge of Trump's security. There you go. That's one for you.
Yeah. Well,
there's a good one. That's a good one.
So so Blano and I, General Holt and I made a recommendation. We were on with Ed last night. Speaking of Ed, we were on Ed Henry's the briefing, and we were briefing Ed. Just saying, it's kind of in the title. And when we were talking to Ed, General Holt said that Special Operations Command needs to insinuate itself into protecting the president, which I'm a big fan of. And so to have people like Sean, people like myself out there doing the serious work. What do you think, Karen? You think that would be a good, at least midterm solution?
I'm all about it. I was going to put you in charge. I mean, that was going to be what I was getting to. I was leading in there. I mean, I figured we had a whole show to cover this. So I was going to get there. And I was so excited when he pulled out the gun, but you took my punchline, Tony. Here we are.
Well, again, I'm just speaking practically because according to our colleagues on the left, that thing could attack me any second. So this is drama. This is like live on the air. We have a dangerous AR behind me that can sneak up on it.
Drama. And guess who's at the center of it all? Drama. AOC, the ultimate actress. Now she's playing a different role. She's got a different script. I do think she's coming off more intelligent, but I hope that the American people remember who she was when she didn't know what her garbage disposal was in her New York apartment. There's all these things. You look at it and you say to yourself, like, these people are puppets. It goes back to Cheadle and what we talked about, her sort of like looking in her eyes, and you think there's somebody that's like not human there. Like, are you home? Is anybody home? That's all I can keep thinking to myself. And it goes down to the ultimate figurehead of them all, Joe Biden. Is anybody home? Where is Joe, Tony? You should go find Joe. Is he in a cave? Is he in a basement? Somebody needs to find this man.
I think he's probably with AOC trying to help figure out that garbage disposal. I think he's like the janitor in her apartment, I think. So he kind of wanders the halls. He's like an old guy that wanders the halls,
Right. He's going to be pretty upset when he finds out what happened. That's all we can tell you. That's right.
Is he going to find out what happened, or is he dead? Is he possibly dead?
Right. Well, what we saw was a double coup. Or an attempted double coup by the deep state.
Yeah, I don't want to guess. I think he suffered a stroke. If you listen to his words during the Kamala, like what would you call it? A call-in? It was like a radio show.
It wasn't. I don't think it was him.
Hey,
it was a stage call-in.
I don't think it was him. Yeah. I think it was a recording based on her slip up. If you watch the video where she almost says recording and then says, "We have the president's voice." Like, who says that when someone's on the phone? You go back and forth. It was very scripted. And it didn't sound like him to me. We've had a lot of impersonators on this show that have been very, very good, that will imitate President Trump. And you think it's him. Like, if you close your eyes. So I was closing my eyes during this, not only because I don't want to see the train wreck that is America, but also because I just wanted to listen. And I truly don't think it was him. And, call me a conspiracy theorist yet again. But who was that? Who was that on the phone, Tony?
No, I think he had a stroke. I think that's what, if you look at Vegas, COVID doesn't make you walk like you got molasses in your blood veins. Just saying, it's like, okay, that's not right. And it was like calling for dollars or taking, caller number 5, you're on for the Def Leppard tickets. Go ahead. And it's okay.
It was staged.
I want to be caller number 1.
It was staged. It was absolutely staged, and that's it. The fact is, though, there are so many different possibilities. If it wasn't Joe Biden, it could have been an AI. Somebody else did the voice. A recording might have been a little too awkward because I don't think Kamala Harris could handle that back and forth on script recording. But what could have been was, again, there's a good chance he hadn't signed the letter, according to handwriting analysis, but there's also a fair chance that the conversation was done via AI. Remember, they've been propping this guy up for 3.5 years. There's no question in my mind they'll be propping him up until the end of the year, and how they do so.
Well, let's talk about that a bit, because I don't want to get away from Miss Cheetos.
Yeah, we have more for that.
Yeah, and it's easy to let it run away with you.
Let's finish this with Joe real quick. So I think now let's let's get the folks in chat involved. Let's get the Patriots involved. Who all thinks Joe Biden's going to show up on schedule this afternoon at the White House? He's supposed to be there this afternoon. They're supposed to be flying him out. How many people? Just jump in there and tell us if you think Joe, Sleepy Joe, Crooked Joe, Soviet Joe. He's got so many names. I don't know which Joe to go with. As a matter of fact, there he is. Joe. Yeah, Ice Cream Joe. You scream, I scream. We all scream for Joe Scream. So, I mean, it's who all thinks he's really going to show up?
Let's go, Brandon. I don't know what to say at this point. I feel I actually have a place in my heart that feels very sad about what they're doing to somebody. At the end of the day, as much as I dislike him, as much as I think that he's a product of the deep state, this is an old man that is essentially being elder trafficked, not only by a system, but by people that around him that are supposed to love him, like his wife, Dr. Jill. Like, where is Nurse Ratched? How is she?
Yeah. Well,
right? It's sad.
So, Karen, I think I've asked you before. I think it's unique. Let's give Dr. Biden credit because I think she's the one and only dental proctologist on the planet. I mean, she gets them coming and going, right? I mean, that's her job, right, Chris?
Yeah.
Oh, it's also her job to kind of nurse him around, walk him around. She's been the one propping him up. I've been saying this for 4 years. She was going to Edith Wilson it for a very long time, and that's what she's doing. She's Edith Wilsoning it. In fact, right now, this whole Kamala Harris thing is only for show because it keeps her out of actually doing anything when it comes to anything important. At this point, the Democrats are raising the white flag, and if Kamala Harris is the nominee, that would symbolize the Democrats are raising the white flag and going for 2028 with somebody else. That's what they're doing. They need to nurture somebody. Right now, they need a sacrificial lamb. They need a Mondale. They need a Dole, and they need or a McGovern, if you will.
Yeah,
sacrificial lamb.
Oof. Well, it's true.
That's what Harris is right now. That's Harris.
Yeah,
and we should. So, Chris, do you think we could get Willie Brown, Governor Brown? I mean, Mayor Brown on the show because he knows all about Kamala Harris's oration skills. He knows how she will bend over backwards for promotion. He knows about Kamala Harris's hands-on leadership. I think he'd be a great guy to talk about everything Kamala, because Kamala, as you know, is not only Kamala because she's Kamala. She has the future of being Kamala because the future is so important to those who believe that Kamala is Kamala. And if Kamala is not Kamala, then there's no Kamala because we have to have a Kamala in the future. Isn't that correct?
Tony, just like Willie Brown would say, you just said a mouthful. Hey-o. I deserve a hey-o for that one.
I'm not going to touch that one.
Oh, by the way, you also can't say Kamala.
Did.
You also can't say Kamala because that's the new strategy now. It's racist to call her or to mispronounce her name. It's hateful, racist, and misogynist. That's the new. The narratives are coming out right now.
What is her name? Sarah?
I think it's Kamala. I don't even know.
You have to say Kamala.
Kamala.
It's like see, I have to say Kamala because I'm from New Jersey. It's Kamala, and I'm going to call her Kamala because her name's Kamala, but it's Kamala.
Or more.
Her name is Kamala.
Or Montel Williams.
Yeah. Hey, look,
Montel Williams. The folks in the chat are talking about Montel. She was so. Just so you know, X Twitter note says she was not his side thing. She was his side hoe. She was the main hoe. So just get that clear, folks. She was the main hoe. And this is not me. This is X. Just saying. Not that I'm judging.
She was his Wheezy.
She was Wheezy. She was his. Yeah. Wow. I don't know how to top that one. So we're getting.
I don't know.
So,
I remember the 90s. I remember the 90s. I remember the 2000s. I remember Montel Williams. I mean, he was always like a little.
Oh, he's pissed at me.
Ball. He was a sleaze ball. Like
Montel is pissed. Wait. This
was.
Okay. Why is he pissed at you?
Because we had a Twitter spat about 2020 when I was the national security advisor to the Trump campaign. Trump. He's an Army guy. Do you know Montel's an Army guy? Got in the Army.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you can go back.
I remember his show. That's about
you can find out. So it's probably still out there. I didn't delete anything, but yeah, Montel and I got into a Twitter fight because of Joe Biden probably not being a good president. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I think I actually went on and as a surrogate of the Trump campaign, full disclosure, 2020, I was out trying to talk about the reality that we now know is Joe Biden, saying, hey, there's something wrong with that guy. Well, Montel got upset with me because he felt that I was being judgy. Well, it's kind of my job being judgy, right? I mean, so, but we, yeah,
that's his career. His career is being judgy.
Being judgy. Thanks, Chris. Took the words out of my mouth. I knew you were right on the same page as me.
Yeah, him and his Jerry Springer type show. No, I don't want to hear it. No. He thinks he was Dr. Phil before Dr. Phil, but he was really more of a Phil Donahue, if you ask me. That's a different story for a different day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I like Phil Donahue. Sure. He was okay. So, all right. Well, we got to get back.
Of a when the land of the one-eyed blind man. What is it? The one-eyed man is king in the land of the blind. I couldn't get it out. I was trying.
Apparently, someone was very, very fond of the one-eyed snake that Montel has, and she's maybe the next president. So, just saying. So,
oh man.
Apparently, that's true. So
we got to have one of those games with Kamala Harris if she in fact winds up being the nominee. We need one of those games like they had. Remember when Justin Trudeau was first the prime minister, and this one site had a little game called Zoolander or Trudeau, and they had quotes out.
That's
and
a
you
good
had to figure out who said the quote. Was it either Zoolander or Justin Trudeau?
That's a good game. That I could go for that game. We could make that a drinking game for the folks, for the Patriots. Yeah.
Well, the Conservateur blog has put together an article called "Kamala Harris Quotes That Prove We're Living in Veep."
Oh my God! Go through a few, Chris. Share your wisdom from this. Go ahead. We've already taken a left turn, so let's just keep going for a little bit on this.
Sorry about that, because we got to go back to Cheadle on this. We got a lot for Cheadle.
We'll get to Cheadle in a second. She's not going anywhere. Just saying. She's made that clear.
Here you go.
That's right.
About climate change. We will work together and continue to work together to address these issues and to work together as we continue to work, operating from the new norms, rules, and agreements that are still convened to work together. We will work on this together.
Man, so just let me make a quick. Can I do a note? Since this is Ed's show, but we're on it.
Yes.
Community note. Climate change. Community note. Climate change is a hoax. There's no such thing as man-made global warming. Thank you for your time. So there you go. Just a little note there to correct the record. Keep going, Chris.
All right, here's another one. This one, apparently the context is shouting her stream of consciousness into a void from the babbler in chief. Apparently, it was a long story. It goes, the governor and I, we were all doing a tour of the library here and talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires. What we need to do is create these jobs. And there's such great significance in the passage of time when we think about a day in the life of our children.
I got to tell you, I'm thinking about the passage of time, and I'm just thinking about the Democrats, and I'm like, you know why they like the passage of time? Is because they like us to forget who they were. They want us to forget everything that's on camera, that's already been videoed, that we've all seen. We knew this man had dementia that's in the White House. We know that Kamala's a hoe. I mean, where are we? I mean, we know all this. So the American people are smarter than this, Tony.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're going to see through it. Chris, any other words of wisdom from Miss Kamala Mala Walla Walla Ding Dong?
Here's a short one, and this is for us to learn and use every day. It's time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. I'm telling you, she is like the new Messiah.
That time is every day.
Time is every day.
If she wasn't vice president, she'd be living in a compound with followers in Latin America, getting ready to have them drink Kool-Aid. I'm convinced of that. So just saying.
It may be like an ayahuasca kind of thing. Maybe Marianne Williamson would be there with her. I mean, it could be fun. I would want to at least, be a fly on the wall. I'd say that.
Well, so I know Marianne Williamson, and I think she's got a good heart.
I like her.
I would never. I like her too, and I've met her, and I like her. I think she's in the wrong party. I mean, as if you don't know. Let me be clear on this, Karen. I've looked in person in the eyes of some of these folks. I've had to testify before them. There's a certain person at Fox News who literally, you look at her eyes and you can see the evil. It's there in evil. And so you can sense evil. You can sense and so they are the party of evil. They are.
I know.
And let's just be honest about it. I mean,
and
that's where it all goes.
Me about Marianne. I got to tell you that she's a friend of yours. We should get her on the show because I'm a big fan. You know, I brought her up.
Well, she's not a friend, but I mean, I've met her and I like her. So, you know,
there are things that I like about her, and I have a very hard time understanding why she is the way she is. I want her to be more Tulsi-like. I want her to see the light. I want her to be more Elon-like. You know, these are people that, you know, if we recall, before things got radically crazy, they weren't really on our side. But now that things are really beyond crazy, people are jumping in. And I guess that's a good thing in the scheme of all of it. If you got to look at the positive, right?
So, you know, I like your point about Tulsi, you know, Tulsification of Marianne. But I think Marianne is older than Tulsi. And Tulsi has two things. Now, I consider myself a friend with Tulsi. I mean, we do text, we have, you know, personal information exchanged. So I do actually have that level of contact with Tulsi. With that said, Tulsi went through a metamorphosis of people like me talking to her before she left the party. I mean, I've disclosed this before. Tulsi Gabbard said that they're evil. So Dennis Kucinich, my friend, Wacky Dennis is a bit of a wild guy because, you know, he's off the reservation, and I love him for it. Dennis, don't take that as an insult. I love you. And so Dennis Kucinich asked me, as a good Ohio, you know, congressman, would you advise Tulsi? It's like, absolutely, if she'll listen, and she did. And so I just found it interesting that she was open to listening to people like me. And you know, I'm no wilting lily, right, Chris?
No. But you're very young. I'm sorry, you're very young. That's it. Yes, you're brave and stunning, Tony. Brave and stunning.
Brave and stunning and brave. Stunning and brave.
Anyway, Lily, not his age, as far as like he's not passive, and now you're taking a shot at him. We're all old here, Chris.
We're all old, Chris. Anyway, but back to the story. So Tulsi came around, and obviously, and I know what you're saying about but I think it's too late. She's in her 70s now, so I think you can't teach a new dog, and I'm not saying that to be divisive. You can't teach a new dog new tricks, an old dog new tricks. Anyway, speaking of tricks, let's go back to Cheadle.
Right,
she was full of tricks. So, Karen, who do you think leaked her testimony to the Hill before she gave it?
I think it was very little testimony to be leaked. What's unbelievable is there was nothing there. I mean, talk about, you know, Donald Trump's called things a nothing burger before, you know, in other contexts. This was a big nothing burger. I can't believe that she showed up there. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
She was subpoenaed.
I know, but this is the whole thing that I look inside this person, and I'll go back to it again. And you said there's somebody at Fox like that. There are just certain people that you can look inside and you're like, you're not even feeling any emotion. How are you not here showing total remorse for what happened and saying you're sorry to the American people and all the things that innately, logically, most of us think should happen? It's because these people are on a totally different plane. They're living in a different universe. They're on a different timeline or something. Or, you know, this is where, you know, you talk about things that are biblical that come in, you know, is there some evil in this world, something that's influenced by darker forces? And these are some of these things, this deep state coup, and people that are willing to sell their soul to have a certain amount of power or a title, or, you know, just do things that morally and ethically God doesn't want. I think this is how it ends up. And I think, you know, you look at what happened to our amazing president, Donald Trump, and how this is really God's miracle, and how we're living sort of in this reality that was shifted by a millimeter of an inch. We're living in a miracle right now.
So look, as we've talked about here on the show, we've talked about in other forums, the timeline of reality is completely different. Totally. And I'm going to say this, and I may get in trouble. I'm laid out. So the reason, one question hasn't been asked yet: why was Cheadle so ill prepared? Why is it they're taking so long? Because logically, and you and I function in the world of logic. Chris functions in the world of logic. We have fun with logic, but the one thing that they're lacking is content. And the reason they're lacking content, Karen, I'm going to say this, is it may sound conspiratorial, is because they were prepared to go with a narrative of a dead Donald Trump. They believed he was going to be dead. And so I believe the entire machine, the whole machine, because there's rumors right now about certain Republicans saying, oh, I'm going to be the VP. It's like, really? I don't want to get into that because there's rumors and we don't have confirmation yet, but certain Republicans were saying, oh yeah, I'm going to be the VP candidate. It's like, really? Because Trump's not going to pick you. Anyway, so I'm just saying that there's some evidence that there was a larger the establishment itself, not just left to right. The establishment itself was trying to protect itself. So I think that's why there's so little information, because they'd set this narrative up to say, oh, it's so terrible. Our incompetence, oh, we're just so stupid. We're just rock stupid. Oh, don't blame us for being stupid. We're trying to hire all these DEA. That's what they were going to go with. They were going to go with that. It's abundantly apparent to me. And so now they don't know what to do because they can't use that narrative. It's like, yeah, he survived, to your point, God's miracle. He's in there fighting. And it's like, we have nothing to go to. And I think that's why she was so empty on response. What do you think?
I think it's all pre-scripted. I think it goes back to what we talked about earlier when we said that AOC was reading from a script. This entire thing, I mean, we could go back to like the Steele dossier. This is all some dossier. This is some narrative that somebody wrote. Yes, they were planning that he was going to be assassinated and things were going to unfold a certain way. And they had written the scripts for all of this and they had their cast in place. It's a Broadway production. And you know what's amazing about that, Tony? Who is the biggest Broadway fan that we know? Is Donald Trump is one of them for sure. And when you think about someone that would have to know how to play the game, you almost have to get into their head. You're an intelligence guy.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to read it. You have to see it for what it is. And no better person to do that job because he gets it. He gets that it's a pre-produced show.
Yeah. Oh, and he's better at producing shows than they are. And I think that drives him nuts.
Exactly. He is right.
He's a better producer.
He is The Apprentice. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I think that's where, so let's go back and Chris had some sound bites I think we should run through real quick. And by the way, Karen, are you smarter than a 20-year-old? Because that was one of the questions yesterday. It's like, how did you have this 20-year-old outsmart you?
Because he was in on it, because he had encrypted, apps on his phone and he was talking to people and people were inciting him to do this. I do not believe he acted alone. I don't believe there's any possible way that he could have. This is a coordinated effort.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
So, Chris, so yesterday, I don't want to divert attention from our show because it's a great show. Obviously, Karen, Chris, and I are wonderful. And tell Ed so. Just be sure and just tell him.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
that would be nice.
So on that point, I was on with my friend Danny Davis and Matt Ho, a former Marine. We did a thing yesterday with Danny Davis on Deep Dive, and we went through a full hour and 10 minutes. As a matter of fact, I was late for a meeting, as Chris knows, because we went over time.
Yes.
And it's a deep dive. So go to Deep Dive with Danny Davis. It's on Facebook and Twitter. And we do a detailed, like down to the bullets used. I actually pulled out, I have it here. We actually pulled out the old bullets and we talked about ballistics. We went through and talked about the sounds, everything. So if you want like a deep explanation, go check it out. It's a really good, it's long. I'm not going to lie to you. It's an hour and 10 minutes, but you get a lot of detail to help illustrate what a bag of, Cheadle is. So back to you, Chris. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think it's important for folks to know where to go get information if they want about how full of feces she is.
There are a couple ones. Now that you bring this up, I was going to play Nancy Mace first, but I want to bring up a sort of shortened version of what you did by Representative Fallon. He was great. He was great. He was fantastic. He also had the best line, which is the very end of this little speech. I took a minute out of it. He tells you what his points were, what he did in his kind of follow-up investigation. And believe me, that short amount of time, he came up with more than the Secret Service did. Let's hear him.
I have never had any long gun training in my life. I own an AR-15, and last time I shot it one time my whole life. It was 6 years ago. That is until Saturday, where we recreated the events in Savoy, Texas. We recreated what happened in Butler. I was lying prone on a sloped roof at 130 yards at 6:30 at night. And I knew that he had a scope. I didn't know what kind, red dot or magnified. So I shot 8 rounds from both. You know what the result was? 15 out of 16 kill shots. And the one I missed would have hit the president's ear. That's a 94% success rate. And that shooter was a better shot than me. It is a miracle President Trump wasn't killed. Corey Comparatore life is over because that damn shooter made it on the roof. And it wasn't the roof that was dangerous. It was a nut job on top of the roof. You know what else is dangerous? I believe your horrifying ineptitude and your lack of skilled leadership is a disgrace. Your obfuscating today is shameful. And you should be fired immediately and go back to guarding Doritos. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
That was like the best line. Go back to guarding Doritos.
Yeah. Well, she is, as one of the other members of Congress said, she is a DEI horror story and man, oh man, is she? But I mean, she is. So.
Well, she's a DEI and an FOJ. And remember, back during the Clinton administration, a lot of FOHs, friends of Hillary, got into the administration. This is an FOJ, somebody who may have been in the business world in the private sector, but was not really up to running Secret Service and didn't have the back.
I don't think she's up to running the counter at Target for cosmetic jewelry. I'm just saying. So
most of people steal stuff all the time. She doesn't keep that perimeter.
There goes Tony showing his guns again. Here you go, Tony with the guns.
I want to make a point. Yeah. So as the congressman just said, this is a basic AR. And the AR is not dangerous by itself. It's the nut who had it. I just want to make that point again. So nobody's seen my AR sneak up and shoot me. Just saying.
What was it? Which movie was it that the guy said, "Guns don't kill people"? I do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably UHF. I think it was UHF.
That's a great movie. That's a great movie. Word out.
UHF. That was a classic.
Yeah.
And it's funny. The adversarial TV station owner looked just like Ted Turner.
That's true. Maybe he was.
Was it like this is like a movie about UHF channels? I can't believe we're all dating ourselves by actually talking about this, because there would be many, many, many people that would have no idea that reference at all. So again, we're aging ourselves.
Let's check it out.
UHF, I'm checking it out.
We are encouraging young people to relive the renaissance of the 80s and 90s, right, Chris?
UHF is a classic movie where starring Weird Al Yankovic, also had a cast of superstars. Fran Drescher played a newswoman. Tony Geary played the chief engineer. Remember Luke from General Hospital? He also had let's see. Oh, Billy Barty was the lead cameraman.
And Kramer was the sidekick.
Kramer was Stanley Spidowski, who was the breakout star of the station. Michael Richards. That's right. My mom. And he actually had the second most inspiring speech in movie history. That "This is my mop" speech. The most inspiring, of course, was the shoveler from Mystery Men when everybody finally went out to fight the big boss. But that's another story. We'll have to get those quotes together.
All right, so let's get. Speaking of other stories, I love the 80s, but let's get back to 2024.
So I have Nancy Mace.
So Nancy Mason. Let's go with Nancy. Nancy is brutal and effective here, right, Chris?
You bet. And this is the one most people were talking about.
Has the Secret Service been transparent with this committee? Yes. Would you say the fact that we had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today as being transparent? Yes or no?
I have always been.
Yes or no? You didn't want to answer the question. We had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today. That is not transparent, by the way. You stated earlier, Secret Service is not political. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say leaking your opening statement to Punchbowl News, Politico's Playbook, and Washington Post several hours before you sent it to this committee as being political? Yes or no?
I have no idea how my statement got out.
Well, that's bullshit. Does the Secret Service fully
There's more.
cooperate
The air quotes.
with our committee?
Yes.
Okay. You
Nobody
say you're fully
messes with
cooperating with this committee. On July 15th, this committee sent you a list of demands of information that we wanted. Has the Secret Service provided this committee a complete list of all law enforcement personnel that were there that day? Have you done that? Have you provided a list to the Oversight Committee? Yes or no?
I'll have to get back to you on that.
That is a no. Have you provided all audio and video recordings in your possession to this committee, as we asked on July 15th? Yes or no?
I would have to get back to you.
That is a no. You're full of shit today.
That is a no.
Well put.
That's a true statement.
Nobody messes with Nancy Mason. I like the librarian look. She was very stern. It was pretty awesome. I know.
She's very real. I met her years ago, and I was immediately like, just wanted to talk to her, wanted to know more about her. She's one of these people who is just a real person who actually has run for office because they want to represent people and help them and do a public service. It's miraculous.
Yeah. So Karen, but that's part of what I wanted to get back to, because I mentioned this earlier. A lot of my friends, there she is, Nancy, Chris's friends. So we're friends with Cherie Curry. As a matter of fact, Chris, she's on the plane over to Europe right now. I don't know if she texted you or not. She's flying over to Europe to do a tour at 65. My friend Cherie Curry is doing a tour, rock and roll tour in 65 in Europe.
Yes.
So my former deputy, Teresa McSwain, brilliant lieutenant colonel, became a colonel. I'm dating a Navy nurse. She's brilliant and beautiful, beautiful and brilliant. I don't know. They're interchangeable. just saying. She's a lieutenant commander. So I like to believe I have strong women in my life. Cheadle is not strong. Cheadle gives women a bad name. I mean, this is what I hate about DEI. You put people who are not qualified in those positions, Karen, you end up with this like, you make everybody look bad. Is that being too harsh?
No, it is about gender at the end of the day. Best person for the job, and there are certain that are more well suited to males over females, physicality and other things that come into play. Again, I'm living in reality, so are you, but these people aren't. And they will put somebody who's weak into a power of position because, again, it's all about control. Think about it.
Right.
They're not in control. These people are simply figureheads. They are products of the deep state, whether you think it's the World Economic Forum that's running things, or China, or, where do all the tentacles lead? You're talking about them putting strategically weak people. Look at what they've done to the military, for God's sakes, Tony.
Yeah.
You talk about you and your girlfriend. Here you are, amazing people doing a service for our country, and thank you so much for being willing to stand up for all of us. And then you look at the people that are appointed to these positions in the military now, and we're looking at people that are transgendered, that are looking to be included because they just want to be included, not because they actually want to do the job. This is incredible. This is communism. Right. This is not America.
Right. Well, absolutely. So I think that's what we have to recognize here. Mace is able to represent effective leadership. Cheadle is essentially an evil shell that represents the concepts of transhumanism, to get Jerry's concepts in, Chris, transhumanism, globalism, and essentially being a drone in the larger machine. And by the way, I'm on record right now saying she's not going to resign because she's doing the job she has to do, which is sandbag, obfuscate, and try to hide the evidence of what we all have seen, to basically try her best to slow down the investigation. And that's another reason, by the way, Karen, if I were members of Congress, which I think some are right now, I would try to get her fired right now, because she is trying to cover up what happened. Just saying. She's going to be like the what's his name, Ruby, that shot Oswald, Chris. Remember that? Jack Ruby?
Yeah.
Jack Ruby, yeah.
Well, and, look at how many people wind up dead in these circles. I'm just, going to put it out there and say, there's a lot of people that wind up dead under very curious circumstances. I'm sure there's a lot of fear instilled in her, like, what's going to happen to me? And again, because she's selfishly motivated, because she sold out to the deep state, because she probably is devoid of soul in some way, shape, or form, this is easier for her to do than anybody else. But isn't that incredible? It's just absolutely unbelievable. It's all scripted. It's all a play.
That it is. And the funny thing is, also, if you look at this the situation with what was going on with Cheadle and everything else, the Democrats actually used this hearing, and you're not going to hear much out of it as far as being covered. But we heard from Jamie the Hair King Raskin, and of course Ayanna Presley, who wished she had Jamie Raskin's hair, who were,
by the way, Chris,
they were trying to push gun control during the whole thing.
Right.
Tony?
Great.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was gonna before you run it. Do you think that Raskin had to molest a poodle to get his hair? I mean,
Ooh.
it's very poodle-like. I'm just saying. So
Oh.
when you run the clip, judge for yourself if he molested his poodle to get
I
it.
actually
Go
don't
ahead.
have that clip in front of me.
Oh my God. Well, if you
Yeah.
look at the clip, it looks like that some poodle lost its hind legs, hind end, and just kind of got set. If you look at the poodle's butt, not that I'm asking, don't go look at poodles' butts. I'm just saying, if you happen to run into a poodle, look at the size, like the poodle poof on the back. There he is.
Yeah,
See,
Jamie
look,
Raskin.
doesn't
I
it look
mean,
like a
I have two doodle dogs, which are partial poodles, so I take some offense to this because my poodles don't look greasy. Okay, I can assure you that neither of my poodle butts are greasy like this man's hair. You know
That's
what this
true.
reminds me of? It reminds me of Soul Glow. Remember Soul Glow in
Yeah.
the movie? Do you remember that? That's what that reminds me of. He's got some sort of like Jerry curl in there.
And he also looks like Mel Brooks's character in Spaceballs too. Remember the Emperor in Spaceballs?
Oh, that's right.
Ah,
No, that's right.
yeah.
That's a good point. Now, keep in mind you have you have Jamie Raskin's hair, but
Yeah.
maybe Joy Reid would do much better in trying to get his haircut than the
Oh,
Trump haircut she had a little while back. She kind of switches back and forth. I think she'd look better in a Jamie Raskin than a Donald Trump than she used to. This is a
yeah.
different one. This is an Annie Lennox, but
I
No.
personally have to tell you that my daughter shaved her head at one point, like years ago, and she had this whole Sinead O'Connor thing going on. I was not a big fan, especially because she did it without telling me, because I would have said no, of course. But,
Well,
there are some people that look good bald. She's not one of them, but that's definitely not the look for her. I would actually like to see her with a wig on. I would like to see, do you have any wig photos of her? I'd like
I
to see
think
what she looks like with hair.
okay, yeah.
no,
I
she
think
look. See,
she's all of them.
There you
right there,
go.
right there, Chris. See, Chris, she culturally appropriated Simon Le Bon's haircut from Duran Duran. Right there. See,
Here-
that's not
Oh,
acceptable.
man.
Here's her Jamie Raskin wig.
There
There
she
you
is. Yeah,
go.
there she is.
There you go. Yeah. It doesn't look like the same person, in my opinion. I would not recognize her with the wig
See,
on.
it looks like
It's
that,
a
doesn't it? This-
Mm,
Not much of a difference, right? There we go.
similar.
Man, oh man.
Well, here's
So,
another one.
Similarities, I guess.
uh-oh.
We're going to get in trouble for
Well,
this, aren't we?
I don't even know what's happening.
Well, I don't think so. She's on the same network as Morning Joe, right?
Yeah,
yes,
I
she
think
is.
I don't watch that network.
She's in trouble
So
too, by
I'm
the
just
way.
saying, yeah, just don't. So she's on the same network, but I just always want to point out the audience. Mika Brzezinski is on Morning Joe. Just saying. I'm not judging. I'm not judging. I'm just saying she is. It's an indisputable fact, right? Just saying. So.
Yes, it's true. And that's the only
Absolutely, yes. I mean, there's a lot of puns that we could make with that. I'm gonna leave them all to you guys, but I know what they are. I have them in my head, just so you know.
She always wants to take a ride on Scarborough Fair, but that's another story.
Oh,
She's been
bingo! That's good. I like that.
Joy
Are
Reid's
you
in big
going
trouble.
to Scarborough Fair? That's right.
Joy Reid's getting some backlash though. Is she's a complete fool and a tool of the Democrats. But the Daily Mail reports that a lot of Americans are calling for her being fired, which is probably not going to happen, for trying to float the idea that the Trump shooting was a hoax. I mean, come on.
Oh my God! Yeah, here we go.
I mean, there were innocent fatalities. There was an innocent fatality and innocent injuries there, and trying to claim that the actual assassination was a hoax. That's up Joy Reid's alley, but this time somebody has to answer for that. There's responsibility when it comes to reporting news. You can joke around, but when you're trying to report this as fact, or trying to float this as a real idea, this is on a semi-major outlet too. That's something that needs consequence.
And that other guy, Rachel Maddow, did the same thing, right?
Oh, Rachel, yeah, I'll double check that. I'm sure she played around with that.
Well, I know she said it with what's her name, the redhead, the circle back girl. I ain't want to
Jen Psaki.
Jen Psaki.
Yeah.
Is that name derivative from drinking sake in Japan?
Is she
Japanese?
I mean,
is she turning Japanese?
For more than 5 minutes. She might be. I like how they faked being at the RNC convention. I mean, that was my favorite thing out of all of it. Because I have to tell you, as a viewer at home, I thought they were there. It looked like they were there. And I want to give a shout out to Breitbart because I love Breitbart. You know how they add like the different sections, depending on what's going on in the world.
Right.
They have the Kamala coronation is one of the headings today. And you can go in there and you can see everything about the coronation, including her saying that we are now holding the baton for her. So I think that's
anyway, I've been remiss. I got to
intelligent.
take a break. I got to do a read because our friends are not going to be upset. Are going to be upset if I don't. So, real quick, let's do this real quick, Chris, and put the banner up because Paul Stone. Paul is our friend. Paul Stone is Colonial Metals Group. You can't go wrong with Colonial Metals. They give you and your family some important options that you need to understand and be prepared to have. It's like Kamala Harris. Be prepared to be prepared, because if you're not prepared, being prepared will be something that you regret not being prepared for. So be prepared to be prepared, as Kamala Harris would have you be prepared, right? It just makes common be prepared sense. And in this case, we're not joking. You need to call Paul. Go to their website, colonialmetalsgroup.com/Ed Henry dash. I'm sorry. Let me do it again because I screwed it up. colonialmetalsgroup.com/Ed Henry /Ed Henry / you got to put it all together. It's there on our banner. Look at it there, and then or call them at 800-805-4034. So what can Paul do for you? Paul can do a lot. One of the things that people don't do is essentially prepare a portfolio that's able to withstand all conditions. Paul talks about your financial well-being as weather. You want to have the right coat for the right season. And man, oh man, we're getting into hurricane season because of blowhards like Kamala, right? I mean, come on, we know what's going on here. So you and your family need to have hard currency, things like gold and silver. So Paul and his folks can help you out. I highly, highly recommend that you be prepared. I've got gold and silver. It's a hedge against the worst conditions. And even if everything goes well, President Trump becomes 47. As much as I love the man, he's not going to be able to turn everything around instantly. So even with the best possible weather conditions, you better have the right coat because you don't want to get wet or drowned or other things, right? Right, Chris? We want to have the folks prepared to deal with what they have to deal with.
Yes, we all must be prepared, because if you're not prepared, then that means you're unprepared. And when we have to get things together and make sure we're ready for the future, we have to be ultimately prepared.
That's right. There you go.
Future
Thank you,
is
Kamala.
now. We're in the storm. We're in the middle of it as we speak. And I loved your little Kamala-ism that you did there, Tony. That was really good. It really sounded like her.
Except you ever notice that she sounds like she's about to cry every time she talks? That's the one thing you have to add in there. The emotional manipulation that's in her voice. Oh, and I'm so happy and yeah, the whole thing. She always sounds like she's about to cry, and that's annoying. But apparently, it works on the base, so I'm not gonna complain. That's the strategy. It is what it is.
We're almost out of time here, and I know Chris, did you have more clips of the director or not?
We probably should hold those off for another time. That's because the best.
Anyway, so I do want to.
Everything else is long.
I have a serious question for both Karen and the Patriots. How do we know Kamala is a woman, since they don't understand what a woman is? How do we know this? Do we know this? I'm just asking because I don't know these.
I don't know. Has there been any rumors about Montel in the past? I feel like there has been some salacious stuff that's come out about him before. I mean, does he only go for women? I mean, I would have to ask myself a lot of questions about that. To me, she looks very female. And I think she's female because historically you can go back and I think it's been pretty consistent. But yeah, how do you know these in this day and age? You know what? It could be anything. You never know.
Oh, yeah. Willie Brown
Chris,
says yes. Willie Brown says yes.
Willie.
That's it. So
did you talk to Willie?
Him. Yeah. He's the only guy who knows, and that's the thing.
I think it's funny that his name is Willie. Does anybody else find any amusement in that? I just think it's like his name is Willie. It's her. His name is Willie. I just think it's funny.
He did free Willie.
Well, Free Willie. Well, that's Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton. I feel your pain, Chris. So yeah, no. You gonna eat those fries? So I mean, Bill Clinton is another guy that really is a Willy Wonker. Willy Wonker. Can I say that on the air? I guess I did. So.
Ooh, ouch. The thing
They're
is,
all cut
yes,
from the same cloth. These are all, again, goes back to like just the mentality of like the deep state. It's also like dirty and sleazy and,
well,
illicit. And there's just things that you don't want to know or see. Or, it's like going into a really dark club way too late at night, and you see lots of people that are like under the influence of alcohol, like Nancy Pelosi, and like
mhm.
they're just people that you don't want to see at that time of the
Oh,
evening, like dressed in party clothes. I'm going to keep this as clean as possible, folks. I'm sure you could insert your own scenarios, but I just feel like they're just a group of
Yes.
really sleazy night crawlers,
I'll go with that. Uh,
yeah.
that
right?
works.
Well, I
A bunch of
yeah,
dirty,
I
dirty, filthy worms. There we go.
so
Look,
can you
here's a
imagine, Karen, being stuck in the back? Go ahead, Chris.
no. I was waiting for you. All right, I'll ask you this
So
then.
anyway, so can
Yeah.
you well then ask.
Oh, we must be on delay somewhere along the line. That's where it works. But
Must be.
I was,
All right.
yeah, yeah. So you go first. I'll go with you first. I can answer.
All right. Well, what I was going to say to Karen's point, Karen, could you imagine being in the back of a limousine with Eric Swalwell, Kamala Harris, and Nancy Pelosi? Isn't it would be like this smell of vodka, potted meat, and 3-day-old diapers, right? I mean, it would just like oh my
Oh,
God.
Yeah, no, that would be definitely somewhere I would not want to be. I have so much to say. Let's not go there. Let's move on.
I don't know. Willie
Let's
Brown.
move on.
Well, Bill Clinton might like that. I mean, he has a lot of interesting tastes, if you will. He might like something like that.
He might. He might. I mean, we could go back. I mean, we could go back to. You want to talk about the deep state and just how dirty and ridiculous everything is. This classified documents case, which of course was all part of this magistrate that threw me in prison. We could go back to the Epstein case. Look at Epstein in 2010 and the sweet deal that he got, facilitated by the magistrate that raided Mar-a-Lago. And all of these people are connected, and they're all just so
Well,
sleazy. And
he didn't
Epstein,
he didn't exactly get a
is
good deal, all
again,
things considered.
well, I mean, in the end of the day, but back in 2010, he sure did. And he went out to be a free man and continue to, traffic or do whatever he was doing. And like, again, it goes back to, how many people were on that plane? How many of these sleazeballs flew to Epstein Island? Did we ever get the
Well,
final flight log? Who's on there,
no,
Tony?
no, and we never got the client list, which I think is something else we're due.
Right.
But by the way, so Leslie Headland, I'm
That's the wrong
taking a
Epstein,
left
I
turn.
think.
But the Leslie Headland from Lucasfilm was Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant. They gave her a $28 million deal to produce The Acolyte to keep her silent. And oh, by the way, I'm not encouraging. Don't go watch it. It sucks. Doomcock and Neurotic and all of them. They've done reviews of this thing. Just saying. The Critical Drinker. So look at their evaluation. Don't look at Acolyte, because they point out you write what you know. Leslie? And Leslie wrote a series about hedonism, about abuse, about essentially slavery, all those things. So I guess you write what you know. So I'm just saying, Leslie Headland, who was Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant, she was the one lining up the dates, putting people together. So she and Epstein together, Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein together, these people are total, just pure evil. That's who they are. Those are the people who are financing the Democrat Party, right? Right, Karen?
Yes. I mean, look at it. We go to Andrew Gilliam, who ran against DeSantis down in Florida, who was like doing cocaine in bars, or God only knows. And I'm probably downplaying that. Like, here you are, you're running for public office, and you're such a drug addict that you can't help yourself but go to some gay bar and, snort coke off the bar. Like, it's unbelievable that we're even having this conversation. It's unbelievable that they found cocaine in the White House. What is happening to our world? So it's all about partying and sex and drugs. Is that what the Democrat Party, is that what they're running on? What is this?
Karen, Dr. Jill said it's all about decency is on the ticket. Don't you know that?
I can't. I can't. Coming from an elder trafficker, great. We can trust Dr. Jill and Nurse Ratchet.
Well, look,
Unbelievable.
they're based to believe anything they're told. They're under orders, and they actually do think. And this is straight from Saul Alinsky's book, Rules for Radicals. You have to believe that you're 100% on the side of the angels, and the opposition is on the other side, on the 100% on the side of the devil. The idea is to demonize the other side, then your base or whoever you want to follow you will believe everything you tell them. The Democrats marketed themselves as the party of decency. Joe Biden is not a decent man, and he has sold out the country. But explaining that to people is too esoteric. It's too much. You can take a clip of what Trump says out of context and make people mad. As far as Joe Biden's concerned, you have to explain the whole money laundering. You have to explain what he's done. You have to explain 10% of the big guy. And generally, you're talking to people who don't pay attention to anything more than clickbait headlines for their news.
Yeah. So we got to go. It's been a great show. But anyway, one last thing. By the way, Karen, thank you for being here. So
You're
I
welcome.
hope we can do this. We can do this as a regular thing, and hopefully you won't be stuck in Oklahoma forever. You know, there's big tornadoes
Well,
there.
not forever. I would like. I want to go back to Florida. There's no tornadoes, I've been told, this time of year, but I think the person that likes having me here probably is telling me that. Right. I do not believe them.
Yeah, don't believe them.
Not believe them. I agree. I'll be back in Florida soon, but I will join you guys tomorrow if you have me back.
Good. Yeah. So I'm about to announce that. So again, check out Paul Stone, Colonial Metals Group. Go to their website, as I just, put it back up there for the good folks. Chris, that's colonialmetals.com/Ed Henry dash. I'm sorry. Let me do it again.
Dash Henry. Yeah.
Colonial dash. It's like Morse code. So colonialmetalsgroup.com/Ed dash Henry slash. There you go.
Well,
and
more
it's
of a hyphen than
800
a dash, really.
800-805-4034. Check out Paul. Paul will be back with us later this week at some point too. So anyway,
It's a hyphen.
so we're going to be back tomorrow, and so let's go with that. So Karen, Chris, folks in the chat, will Joe Biden show up today? Yes or no? Chris, you first.
Wow. I'm going to say no, only because I don't think he's either well enough yet, or I think they want to keep him hidden for a little while longer.
Karen, what do you think?
I don't know. I hate to say this, but I'm going to say this right here. It'll either be him or it'll be a man wearing a rubber mask, or it'll be nobody at all. My take is that Joe Biden himself, whoever the real Joe Biden really is not showing up. But that may sound far-fetched and crazy, but you know what? I'm on the crazy train now because nothing makes sense anymore. So here we are. I'm going with thumbs down.
That's my fork. I'm going really crazy here. So I'm going for the Al Haig moment. They're going to have Tony Blinken show up and say I'm in charge. And there you go. There you go. I'm going to go all the way off the reservation. Right? It's like right, Chris, from Apocalypse Now. Don't get off the boat unless you're going to go all the way. So there you go.
That's true. Joe Biden will be showing up somewhere today, though. He is going to go to Nancy Pelosi's house. They're going to have a load of ice cream and get hammered.
And have a hot tub moment, right?
That's right.
I actually like that idea for Joe. Honestly, this poor old man. I mean, he'd be better off at Nancy Pelosi's eating ice cream and getting drunk than being trafficked by Joe Biden. So
no,
I'm going to hope for that, Chris. Hammered. Where is David? It went over my head.
All right. Well, speaking of hammering, you all go build something. Be good to yourself. Go have some ice cream, right? Folks, have a great day. We'll see you. Patriots, we'll see you tomorrow morning.